Hello and welcome back to New Paradigm Healing. This series focuses on Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy. Our intention is to educate, inform, and support the conscious and responsible use of ayahuasca in the Western context. If you want to know more about Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy and our upcoming trainings and workshops, sign up for our mailing list to be the first one to know about the latest news at avatarhealingarts.com. Welcome to Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy. Welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited today to have with me Reuben Langdon. And he's a documentary filmmaker. He has a wonderful series on Gaiam TV called Interview with Extra Dimensionals that I watched, and it was very exciting. So if you want to check out his work, you can go on Gaiam, and I think maybe on Vimeo as well.
Yeah,
so,
actually season 3 is only on Vimeo, so please check it out.
Okay, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that. It's exciting. I'm going to check it out. And as I was watching this series, one of the episodes, you mentioned that you had experience with this medicine. So let's start with that. How did you come across with this medicine? And just tell me your story a little bit about you.
Sure, yeah. I heard about ayahuasca first on the set of Avatar. Actually, James Cameron talked about it. And there was a scene in Avatar that got cut, but you can find it online, where it was sort of based off of an ayahuasca ceremony, where the Na'vi, are you familiar with this scene? Have you seen it? Yeah, so where the Na'vi, it's sort of like a rite of passage, where Jake took a psychedelic worm, right, ingested this worm that then put him on this hallucinatory trip that was, in a ceremonial sense, very much based on ayahuasca, and I was one of the members of the Na'vi in the sequence, facilitating the journey for Jake. And so I had heard about it from James Cameron. It fascinated me. I heard about a lot of stuff while working on Avatar, because the Na'vi were based on various indigenous cultures from around the world. So I got a good education about that. And then around that time also, I took a trip down to the Galapagos Islands, and then went into, before part of the journey was, we were going into not just the Galapagos, but also the Amazon and some of the higher mountain ranges there, and met with a shaman who explained, we didn't take part in the ceremony, but he explained what ayahuasca was, sprayed some Florida de Mayo in the crown, and then sort of we got a little, it was an REI tour, so it was very educational, and it was like explaining the different cultures and stuff that during the trip. So again, curiosity, I got curious, and I did more research, and finally it was around 2013-ish when I was like, I think I'm ready to do this. And I had a friend who, good friend in the stunt community, Trampus, who had spent a lot of time in the Sacred Valley and taking part in ceremonies under Diego. I don't know if you've heard of, he's kind of a famous shaman he's passed now, but was running a ceremony in the Sacred Valley. And I had signed up to do that, to go down and do that, and through a number of, this was now 2014, and never quite happened the way you want it to. And I had to sort of pass on that experience, and I was kind of bummed, and I was like, well, maybe it's just not ready. I'm not ready for the medicine. And then sure enough, before the end of the year, 2014, I got a call, and there were some shamans traveling through Atlanta, and a friend asked if I wanted to, she had heard me talk about the medicine and my desire to take part in recommended that I sit with these shamans that were traveling. So I was like, okay, let's do that. So that was my first journey. And I was so impressed by the experience that I decided to pick up a camera and start filming these shamans and traveled around North America and South America with them, and filmed a documentary for on and off for about 4 years.
Wow.
2014 to 2018, and sat in many ceremonies. Filmed a lot. So the medicine has definitely had a big influence on my life and on my worldview, and helping to put together the pieces of the puzzle that that I during my interviews with the extra dimensional beings in the show.
Thank you. We always talk about a calling, that the medicine calls you definitely and comes into your life. And then there is a perfect timing, as you said, sometimes you want to do it and it's just things are not lining up and suddenly, there is a perfect timing for everything. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting about the documentary. Is that available already?
It's not. Probably, as you know, still DMT, ayahuasca is still a Schedule I drug in North America. And I was sort of filming this underground movement around that. And that's the story I wanted to tell, was this powerful healing medicine that these people were doing these weekend journeys and going through some powerful transformations. And due to the legalities, I'm holding on to the documentary, and it's kind of a side project that I sprinkle a little love from time to time. But until the laws are shifted in the, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So we're
right.
I'm holding off.
Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of great documentaries of people, going down to Peru and doing that. But I kind of wanted to tell a story to say, hey, there's credible people doing ceremonies in the States. They're just hard to access if you don't know the right people. But if you have the calling for the medicine, it will find you, as it did me. Yeah, so that story, I saw many powerful transformations of people with some deep illnesses, and I definitely want to show the world that there are some dark sides to the medicine as well that I also wanted to cover in the documentary. So, but again, the key thing is not getting anybody in trouble. So we will have to wait till some of these laws are lifted so I can tell the true story. I want to it's really going on, which we can talk about here because we're not going to name any names and nobody gets in trouble.
Yes, that's very exciting. You mentioned that your worldview changed quite a bit. So tell me a little bit about how these journeys affected your life. Like, how did your life change? How did your perception change, thanks to this experience? And as far as I know, you have other psychic gifts as well, right? To go into other or connections with other beings and stuff. So how was your experience compared to, what you already experienced? And yeah, just like how did it change your life?
Well, I think the medicine it's not for everybody. But it is definitely for people who get the calling, who have somewhat of a spiritual background or a meditation practice. It can benefit those people because when you meditate, I've been meditating for years, but when I started, I never had really any experience with psychedelics until a few years ago, and partaking first with mushrooms, and psilocybin, I got a little bit familiar navigating those realms. So when the ayahuasca came on, I was like, oh, this is a familiar territory, different consciousness, but familiar. and using the meditation practices I had, I was able to sort of navigate things and understand it, and ask the questions in my own way and get the answers needed. And I found it different than the ET realms, but still a vessel to make connections to those archetypes and those realities. So with the proper intention and sort of a cosmic guy like myself, I'll take that label. Other people have labeled me that. So then it using the medicine as a vehicle to connect to these cosmic energies, it is certainly possible. The main energy, though, that I feel is strongest with the medicine is obviously Pachamama, grandmother, and that making that connection, which we all have inherently, but in that with the ceremony and with the medicine in that way, it definitely opened me up to more possibilities than just the ET realms, more of the different consciousnesses that we are we're always in interaction with, but just not aware. So forever grateful for the medicine, for Pachamama, to opening me to these other realms that are unique in their own way, but also similar to some of the cosmic ET realms and these things, in the sense that they're just other realms and other energies that have positive frequency, a positive vibration that we can interact with and exchange information and gain information to help us in our journey.
Absolutely. So many good points you mentioned. I'm just making notes so we can just dive into all of those. So one thing that you said, that you already had a meditation practice. And I always say also that it's good to, if you want to work with this medicine, that you are already on a spiritual path and you did some self-healing and shadow work, and you have some tools, that allow you to navigate the experience, not just during the ceremony, but after the ceremony, what happens, and how important it is to set an intention, to go with an intention, because set and setting, it's the set refers to the mindset, is greatly shapes our experience. So did you have a specific intention for yourself, something that you wanted to heal or learn or know through these journeys?
Initially, it was just wanting to know what is Pachamama, what is that energy, and to become familiar with it. And then in later journeys, it was a lot, that was sort of still the base, and doing healing work, and trying to understand different things, going on in my life between that period and that period of 2014 to 2018. I was going through some major transformations with my worldview from doing the interviews in the series. It's coincidentally, it's 2014 when I started the interviews as well. So I was doing both a massive amount of several, I'd say in total about 30 or so, 20 to 30, I don't know, I lost track after 20 something. Some people never lose track, but over 20 ceremonies, and doing these interviews at the same time. So a lot of the times I would do these interviews and get a bunch of information downloaded through the interview process, and then I would go into the ceremony with an intention of meditating on those subject matters. Again, trying to have a deeper understanding of what was being said in a lot of the interviews. And found that a very enlightening path, because I got not just the one perspective that the channeler may be telling me certain things, and I would jot those things down and try to meditate on those. But when you're on the medicine meditating on those concepts, you're able to get grandmother shows you different aspects, different doorways, different avenues and other beings come in too, to also assist in that dissemination and understanding, to help you understand those concepts.
Absolutely. So it seems to me that your main motivation was learning about the universe, learning about, you know, different realities. And did you have any intention for healing? Did you have anything that you wanted to personally change in your life or improve?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was, I mean, the medicine showed me in many areas that I had not even had paid attention, you know. It was, I remember this, my second ceremony was, I had just torn my ACL in jujitsu class, and kind of, I was on crutches, and it put me out for, you know, several weeks. I had to rehabilitate and get my movements back in my knee. So I was still on the crutches during that second ceremony. And so healing was a big part. I knew the power of the medicine to heal. I had read up on it, so to say, but that experience showed me all of it. I remember seeing these blue silver cords coming out of the knee and connecting to different relationships that I had in my life that caused, and then grandmother showed me, oh, I'm a stuntman or I was a stuntman. I still do it sometimes, but showing me all the different injuries I had, not only in the stunts, but just in practicing, you know, like jujitsu or other things, and how every injury in my body over the years had been tied to a relationship that I was not able to fully look at or see in the form that it was being manifested in real life. So what happened is I broke my collarbone here. I've broken my ankle, and I've done some pretty extraordinary things to my body, and I've healed from them. But what grandmother showed me at that time was the actual physical injuries were physical manifestations of energy and emotions that I could not process. I didn't know how to process in the time of these relationships with different people, which created different emotions in me, and I didn't know how to process that. So and my way of processing at the time was just to stuff it and to ignore it and to continue. So she showed me all these cords to each injury, to these different relationships, and how and the interaction, how not being able to process that manifests itself in a broken bone or something that then takes a long time to heal. And over that time, I may not think that I'm applying any energy to those relationships, and it may be completely different. It may not be a direct, my healing time may not be a direct, the way I perceive it, relationship to these other relationships. But in that long period of time, that slowing down, because my body is forced to slow down and I'm forced to look at reality in a different way, there is that the healing of the bones is healing of these wounds, of these emotions and unprocessed information that I didn't, the young me didn't know how to process that and do that. So I found that profound, and definitely healing was then, of course, part of the intention of every journey. So exploring the universe, and then also knowing and adding, grandmother, if there's anything going on that I'm not aware of, please make it aware so I can heal that, so we don't have these physical injuries. Because I really want to be done with any physical injuries in my life. I think, of course, they'll show up however they show up. I just weed whacked my foot the other day, and it's just being stupid. I'm like, okay, what energy am I not processing now? What do I have to work on? But it's great to have that perspective. So eternally grateful to grandmother and the medicine for showing me that.
Absolutely. This is so important. And thank you for sharing this from your personal experience, that we always talk about that most of the physical problems that we have are not physical. They are mental, emotional, energetic. And definitely the medicine has this capacity to make us become aware of what we were not aware and see the deeper roots of the discomfort or the pain or the injury or the illness that we carry, so we can really work on those levels and also understand, how these things has an effect on our life and on our physical body as well. And I think this is so important for people to understand that most of what we suffer from, it's not really physical. And a lot of people, I think, looking for healing on the physical level without even being aware that there are other layers that are contributed or led to that physical manifestation. And the medicine definitely has this is a powerful tool to expand our awareness, so we can see, what went wrong, where is this coming from, who is it connected to. And once you become aware, then you have choice, and then you can do something about it. So how does your relationship change with your physical body thanks to these experiences and what you do, or did it change at all? And how did your relationship change with other people and to the Mother Earth, thanks to these experiences that you went through?
Oh, it was tremendous. My heart opening to all of those. I mean, first the mental awareness. I think just having the concept and the idea that that the Earth is a living being, and then which I was learning during my journey on Avatar. I was learning how the different indigenous cultures viewed Mother Earth. So I started to get that idea back then. So that wasn't completely new, but having the idea and the relationship, when you go into the ceremony and you make those connections in that way, in that manner, and you bring that back with you, and that really is having this view that there is a deep connection physically to us. We're born from this planet, this Mother Earth, and many of us may feel like we're not, and there's different reasons and different things. I go into my show about all that, but ultimately we are all human beings born into this reality from this super consciousness, this great consciousness that we label Pachamama, Mother Earth, Gaia, this energy that helps birth us into this reality, and we are intricately part of that. And to deny that would be just false. I mean, we're here, we're in this reality, and as far as I know, to get into this reality, I'm sure that the ETs have some technologies and things to get in here, but for the most of us, the 7 billion people on this planet, we are born into this reality through flesh and bone and this human mechanism called birth, which is also a mechanism by all of Pachamama's creations. So we're all interconnected through this process of just being here, just being a part of it, a part of the experience. And what the medicine has helped me do is to have that view, to go deeper into those relationships with everything around me, and then make the choices, knowing that I make the choices and that I'm in control of where I navigate this great reality realm, planet Earth. Then in a way, is quite empowering. Grandmother lets me know the power of my choices and the cause and effect. And if you make this, showing me, just going backwards in time and showing me, and all the choices that I made in my life led to broken bones or unprocessed emotions, or had this effect on this person that I was not aware of. Grandmother is able to show me these different perspectives. So, life-changing, completely life-changing, especially when you start integrating those lessons into your day-to-day life after the medicine journey. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just go do the medicine, it's over, it's done, and go back to life. And it's like, no, you you don't understand. You're now given the secrets of the universe. You have to use that responsibly, and then you have to take action in your life and integrate those lessons. And that's been my process from 2014, from my first eye experience, all of my experiences with the medicine, and other medicines too, as well as my interactions with the interviews and the ETs and other non-medicine related adventures. All of it. It's all there to cultivate and to use and to shift your perspective and integrate these lessons and constantly build on and build on and build on. And it's been quite rewarding, because I'm at a place now in my life where I am definitely at more peace than I've ever been. And while the entire world seems to be going through this great transformation, in my show we talk about the transformation and the shifting in densities, and it can be quite tumultuous for a lot of people, and it is. We're just looking at what's going on in South America, Cuba, Canada, our own United States, and Zimbabwe. I mean, the whole world right now is just going through massive transformation. However, I am in my home sanctuary with my wife, and we built this beautiful garden and creation, and it's nice to be able to sort of be at peace, or at the eye of the storm when the storm is happening all around you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I relate so much what you were saying, especially about the integration, but a couple of things that you mentioned, heart opening and dealing and processing emotions that we haven't processed from the past, and we just kept bottling up and shoving it down. And I think especially people from the West, we are conditioned, not to feel certain things and not to express certain things. So that's always, I find with the medicine, when somebody goes down that path, that there is this emotional release and this emptying, that we are getting this other chance to let go of those emotions and to process them and to learn, to feel and to allow ourselves, to feel all these emotions and be okay with that, even if those emotions are not super comfortable, and learning how, they pass, and feeling is healing, and this is the way of processing. Just allow yourself to feel it. And so I can really relate to the emotional part and the heart opening, and medicine guiding us, to open our hearts, and the first thing that happens is like an emotional vomit, and the things that were stuff there, they are coming up out. But once that is done, it's kind of you are in this more open heart space where you feel this connectedness that you describe. You feel connected so deeply to the earth, so deeply to other people. It's not only like a mental concept for you, or a mental understanding, or intellectually, I understand that we are all one and connected, but I don't experience it. I experience the earth or the other people as separate. It becomes just a very intimate, experience. And especially, I think, connecting with the earth, even in my story, and a lot of people who I work with tend to be people who are more kind of out there, and they need more grounding here, because it's all about balance, right? We are in balance in the center. And
I deal with a lot of out there people too.
Right, exactly. Certainly for me, I wasn't in my body fully until I was 26 or something. So that was a work in progress, just to allow myself to come into this reality and come into this ground, into this physical reality and into the earth. And a lot of us comes from a culture that is so disconnected from the earth. Like I grew up in a city, and was very disconnected. So one of my clients once said after he came out from the ceremony that before the earth was just like a picture on the paper for him, but now it is a real living relationship, you know. So and that's definitely, I think, everybody who works with this medicine in a conscious, responsible way, they experience, you know, this interconnectedness and this connectedness with all things. And I think, why is this important for me? Because once you experience that, you don't need external laws and rules to say, don't put poison into the earth, for example, because it would never occur to you to poison the earth, because you understand and you feel it in your heart, you know, that what you do to the earth, you do to yourself, you know, so to say. And I remember, you know, the first time I was watching the movie Avatar, I was in a movie theater and with some friends, and when they went with the bulldozers, you know, in the end, and you know, destroyed it, I was crying, you know. I literally, and even up till today, I cannot really watch destruction of the planet, because it's my heart breaks, you know. It's a very personal feeling for me. So this becomes something very real, that before might have been a concept for us or just an intellectual understanding, and it becomes an embodied, you know, experience, you know, through this work, and through this awareness. And of course, you know, the personal empowerment that you were talking about, that this expansion of awareness, becoming aware, or divinity, you know, within us, again, you know, just beyond spirituality, beyond religion, when we externalize, you know, God or the divine, and it's just a very deep understanding that is within us, and we are divine and we have divine power. That is, I think, also a huge part of the experience. And what you mentioned about the inner peace, I so relate to that, and I feel, you know, the same way, especially now in this chaotic situation that is going on. And for me, that's very much connected with the loss of fear. I think that we carry so much fear and anxiety. This is like, this is the epidemic, the fear, you know, and if you look at the media and the fear mongering and the whole conditioning and programming, it's very fear-based, and, oh, be afraid of this, now be afraid of that. And, you know, we take on all these fears, and we just live our life in this anxiety, you know, in this fear, in this worry all the time of all things around us and within us, and what will happen and what happened. And what the medicine really helped me with is to let go of these fears, you know. And I think that's what resulted in me to find that peace. And even though there are scary things happening right now that I feel, you know, it's scary, but I don't have any fear, you know. As you described, I feel completely at peace and centered and grounded within myself, and knowing, you know, that me maintaining this state of being and this vibration is the best that I can do, actually, you know, for myself and for the world, you know, at this moment, to as you mentioned, to elevate ourselves, and to not go into that despair, not go into this fear. And we can see, you know, when you hold a lot of fear, you can be manipulated to such an extent, because you're scared, you know, so you would do anything for the fear to go away. So how was your experience with this?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, imagine a world where everyone is at, say, the level you and I are at, and I'm just meeting you for the first time, but you can tell just, you know, how you present yourself, and how you were saying, you know, you don't let the fear get to you. So imagine a world where everyone doesn't let the fear get to them. We are heading to that world.
Yes.
We are moving very rapidly to this world. And the fear and the anxiety and the uncertainty is at its peak right now, to allow all beings on the planet to be okay with not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, to be okay with embracing the now, the moment now. And that's really all that matters. Of course, we want to prepare and take precautions and these kinds of things for the future. But all of that is being completely ripped. The carpet's being taken out of everybody's feet, and we're being forced to take action in ways that will make us more interconnected. Obviously, the fear and these things are being perpetuated at an incredible pace through media, but I think so many people right now are just getting so tired of being in fear that eventually they're just turning off the television. They're just, or they see all this stuff on social media and they're just like, okay, whatever. You actually tune out from that reality because it's not serving anymore. And those of us who have tuned out are looking from afar and it's like, yeah, that's not my drama. I'm not going to deal with that. Until it comes knocking on your door, which might be which our president just announced last week that he's going to come knocking. Woohoo! But we'll deal with it at that time. Nothing to be afraid of now. It's just, you just deal with it as it comes. And that's just life. You deal with it as it comes. And I think that's the medicine teaches you how to navigate these things, because when you're in those realities, everything is happening so quick and so fast, and the flood of emotions can be so intense, and you have to learn to navigate your emotions and fear, because in that reality, if you've got fear, you're going to learn, it's going to come up right away, and you're going to, grandmother depends on the person, but grandmother knows the intelligence behind it is so high that we all get reflected back to us exactly what we can handle. So it's my belief, if you're in the right setting and right intention and with proper shamans, then you will only get shown or put into the darker journeys I'm sure we've all had, will only come up to the extent with which we can handle. But that teaches you how to navigate those worlds. And
I love that.
Yeah. And so that's one thing the medicine can teach us, is in how to process fear. And when I say process, because fear, it's part of who we are. It's part of the experience. We have fight or flight. We have these mechanisms built into our genes to keep us alive, and fear is a good thing for that, for survival. But when you let it take over, then it becomes the opposite. It's actually destroying you. So finding that balance, really, it's not about getting rid of fear. It's finding the balance and being okay with the fear. And the medicine is great for doing that, for teaching us and helping us navigate those realms where we can identify fear as a tool, or identify it as if it's actually being counterproductive, like a cancer, and how we can then resolve those issues, resolve our perception of fear and our use of it, and how we take fear in as medicine as well, and how we use it. And then it becomes a tool and not an overbearing monster.
Right. I so resonate with all of what you said, and navigation is my favorite word, and I think for me, it's a continuous journey moving from fear to love, which is our essence. And I totally agree that the medicine, a lot of people have this unrealistic expectation that, I'm going to work with this medicine and all the problems will go away from my life. There's going to be no more challenges, it's going to be like only bliss. And as you said, well, maybe one day, when we are under that.
As long as you do the work.
Now, here in this reality, here in this duality, we cannot escape, either side. There is fear, there is love, and everything in between. And the biggest gift for me of this medicine was, as you said, to empower me to navigate with ease and grace and confidence these experiences, the intensity, the discomfort, and not to be lost in it, not to be overwhelmed by it, not to be taken by it into the darkness and being stuck there. But I just had this really beautiful experience once, when I was experiencing a great deal of fear while I was working with this medicine, and suddenly I felt this expanded self, you know, who I am, and I realized that that fear is, I'm witnessing that fear, but that fear is not who I am. That fear is something that I'm experiencing and something transient, you know. And if, for me, navigating means staying anchored in that higher place, or in that center, in that balance, you know, when you are aware that you are more than that fear, and you can hold even that fear, you know, in that bigger self, you know, who you truly are, and be okay and breathe through it, and allow it to pass, knowing that it will pass, knowing that it is transient, and not pushing against it, you know. And that is very difficult because, you know, it's instinctual. You want to go away from fear and pain, and you want to go towards pleasure. So it requires great understanding and discipline, I think, and these navigation skills that you are describing, to be able to surrender to the experience, but not to be overtaken by it, but staying, you know, grounded and centered. And I think that's one of the gifts of the medicine, is to empower us to navigate our life experience, you know, in a way that is more pleasant for us, and not so overwhelming and not so destructive, you know, because when we are overtaken by these feelings, we can be very self-destructive, you know, after a while, and not knowing, you know, how to deal with it, how to handle. And this brings me to the integration process, which is just my absolute favorite topic. That's why I'm doing this podcast, to help people to understand that just because you go to a ceremony, you know, that the medicine won't heal you. It's actually, the indigenous people call her a teacher plant, not a healer plant. And the reason for that is because she teaches you, you know, how to live. She teaches you who you truly are. But you need to apply those teachings. As you said, you need to embody those teachings. So it's very different to know something and to do it. You know, it's a two different thing. I think everybody can relate to that. And that's what I mean when we talk about the integration process, that, okay, how do you apply that to your life? How you going to embody that? And what you're going to do with all that information, all that wisdom, all that remembering, that it will make a difference in your physical life, in your everyday life, that it will make your relationship better, more harmonious, more loving, that it will, you know, bring you more just balance and peace and joy and all of these things. And that is a process, you know, that happens after the ceremony. I always look at it, ceremony, as an initiation, as opening a door, you know, and then really the real embodiment happens after, you know, what happens after. So how do you help yourself to integrate these experiences? Are there any specific tools, or do you get any support, or did you get support at the beginning to navigate the integration process? What helps you to really anchor all that you learn and to embody that in your everyday life?
Yeah, I think I can't really identify one specific, like, I did this and this and this, but just in a general sense, what, going back to the very beginning of understanding this connection that we have to all things, and then when certain circumstances and situations, when they show up in your life, recognizing them as opportunities to make certain choices based on the information that you now have. And now knowing that I'm interconnected to everything, and that everything in my life is a reflection of who I am. So therefore, the situation that's manifesting itself is giving me the opportunity to say, if it's, let's say it's a negative situation that I'm not really fond of, then I'm given that, I'm realizing that the universe is giving me this opportunity to then take action, physical action on this situation. And if it's something of negative consequences or something that I don't wish to be a part of, then I can take that action and go away from it. Not running from the situation, because perhaps there is some lessons in there. So recognizing and thanking the universe for first bringing this opportunity to me, whether it's, feels good or feels bad, that's beyond. I'm not looking at it from that. I'm looking at it from, okay, here's something that's showing up in my life, a situation. For example, let's just say a car wreck. Okay, car wreck. Now, instead of me blaming the other person for the situation, even if it was so-called their fault or whatever, if they slam me from the side, and then I have to look at it. I'm now taking responsibility by looking at the situation in a sense that the universe has delivered this situation to me, and so there's something to learn here, even if it's just something as simple as I don't want to be part of this situation. And then I can take the choice to move out of it very quickly, and I can ask straight up right away. I can okay, what do I have to learn here? And if I get a quick knowing that all you need to know is that you do not like this and that you don't need to be there, okay, I'm gone. And then that was it. That sometimes the universe operates that simply. But sometimes there's something to learn here. Oh, okay, and as you go deeper into the situation and you uncover these layers of things that, oh, you know what, I didn't see the world that way, and now because of this I see it this way, and that's helping me navigate my home situation, and now I can connect with my friends and family in different ways that I didn't connect with because I didn't see it clearly, and this situation allowed me to see it in a new viewpoint. So every situation that shows up is an opportunity to take action on your perception of reality and on your relationship with reality, your relationship with your friends, your family, your government, whatever it is there's an opportunity there to identify you, to say, who am I? Am I the person that's going to allow crimes against humanity and atrocious things to continue, or am I going to make a stance? And then expanding the awareness of knowing these things do occur on the planet: human trafficking, enslavement camps for creating specific goods and things, putting people in different clothes made from different materials that hurt the earth. Becoming aware of all of these things that can hurt Mother Gaia, which in turn hurts me because I know I'm interconnected to that, which in turn hurts my fellow man or woman who might be enslaved to make these products. This is organic bamboo, by the way. but just having that awareness, there are products here that I'm sure, probably are not of the
Made in
most,
China.
that don't have the most integrity behind them. So I guess going back, having this awareness of the interconnection to all that there is, then feeling in every situation, in every moment, even with simply by what car I drive, by what fuel I put into my body and into my the car, and what I have in what I consume, and knowing what that the threads that are connected to that have a repercussion, and that I can take action by not consuming those things, which disempowers those things. So I'm empowering myself with information, with positive action choices, and putting my money into bamboo that feels wonderful and everybody loves it. And organic healthy food that also tastes really good and is really good for my body, and taking those physical actions in every aspect of my life, in every choice that shows itself, and knowing the repercussions if I don't do that, knowing the repercussions if I do, that I am creating a positive reality that I want to exist in, and knowing the repercussions if I don't, that if I just let that go, I do let it go. It's not my issue anymore because I'm not going to empower it. I'm not going to give it any more energy. But knowing how empowered I am with my actions.
Absolutely.
Sorry to
So
go
much.
off on that long tangent.
Oh, no, it's just like so much golden nuggets, everything that I talk about, you talk about. So it's like really validating for me to have you on the show. I call this, moving from victim to the creator.
Yes.
I think, we have this victim mentality, simply because of conditioning, environment, and why is this happening to me?
Right.
Why me?
Yeah.
So definitely, that was my journey as well, to come from this place of why this is happening to me, to understand that things are happening for me, not against me. The earth and the universe doesn't want to hurt me, doesn't want to harm me. It loves me and it wants me to be awake and healthy and loving and conscious. And these things are opportunities, as you said, and tools, and simply asking this question, what can I learn from this experience, instead of looking at it, why is this happening to me? Why me? Poor me? That's what is self-empowerment. And once you have this awareness, then you have freedom of choice, as you said, and that is freedom, because while we are unconscious, we are just repeating like a zombie, and perpetuating things that were like programmed into us, really. And that's, for me, that's not freedom. Freedom is choice, is when you can respond instead of react. Something is happening and you can take a step back and look at it and ask this question, what can I learn from this experience, and reflect on it, and to make a conscious choice and to respond to that situation, not just automatically react out of the programming and the conditioning. And obviously freedom, is that we all want ultimately, and we are free, but we have this mindset and this conditioning that is almost like a prison or a cage that keeps us, disempowered, that keeps us powerless, victim. And this medicine is such a powerful ally and a tool to help us to remember and to step into this power and to embody that. And as you said, how it looks like in your life is that you are just making more conscious choices, exactly as you described, in everything, the shampoo that you are buying, that maybe not ordering something from Amazon, but getting it, in a different way. And every little thing, becomes meaningful, and every little thing becomes a conscious act, instead of just some unconscious repetition of what you were taught or what everybody is doing or expecting from you. And from me, that is freedom, that is the beginning of freedom, when we can make our own choices. And I think, we are coming to more and more this realization as our freedoms are taken away more and more, we are appreciating more, we are reflecting more on this topic, what is freedom really, and what kind of choices we can make.
And that's, in a sense, and when you take, again, this wider perspective of what's happening right now, is because so many people were unaware of the power of their choices. So, I'm guilty of, we're all guilty of, buying things and putting, and just not knowing how this got here, and not knowing how the food on my plate got here, what steps happened. So when our liberties and freedoms are being taken away in a very visceral, in our face sense, and now we can question, well, how did this happen? How did we get here? And then you can follow the steps and the reasons, the lack of awareness, the lack of the connectivity, the lack of understanding the repercussions of one's actions. That's how people, that's unfortunately for many people, they're in the situation right now where the liberties and freedoms are being taken away from them, and many are completely okay with it, and that's fine. But as it gets more intense, then people will sort of be forced into popping out of their perspective and seeing this wider angle of reality, and then taking action from there. And hopefully down the road, not hopefully, I know for sure we are going to take the actions needed so we don't put ourselves in this situation ever again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to that, I hope. So we are like an hour now, so maybe we're gonna do a part 2, but for today we're gonna wrap up. So thank you for our audience. And just to close, like, what would be your message kind of to the people who are interested and feel this calling to go down this path? What would you say to them?
First and foremost, I don't think the medicine is for everybody. Initially, when I first took the medicine, I was like, everybody needs to drink this, the president needs to drink this right now, but again, it's a very specific consciousness and vibration. And if you're not ready to meet her at least halfway, it can be very difficult and may not have positive benefits. So the calling, if you have the calling, and if it's part of in your meditations, and like we were saying earlier, have your practice, spiritual practice, meditation practice, learn some tools before going into this world. Do your research and know the medicine you're drinking, know where it comes from. Don't take the whoever's serving. Make sure you have a good relationship with whoever's serving. Make sure they're trusted. There's some mischief going on in this world that we need to call out and be aware of. And as long as we have good relationships with servers and shamans and friends and who recommend these, then as long as we make sure we vet this process. And if you've done all that and you're ready for it and you get the calling and it comes to you, then absolutely dive in. What a gift to humanity to have access to, I call it a technology, not to disservice any of the energies around it, because it is definitely more than just a technology. There's a consciousness and a being behind this technology, but as humans, we can use it as a technology to help us process unprocessed emotions and information. And again, the ceremony itself is just the beginning of the journey, because the medicine forever stays with you. Even if you just have one cup, it'll be with you until you'll never forget that experience. And the medicine lives with us. And it's just a nice, gentle teacher reminder of our connections to all that there is.
Thank you. That was so beautifully said. So I'm not even going to repeat. I just want to add that having a supportive environment, having a container after the ceremony, people who can support your integration process, may this be professional support or just a community type of support. I think it's also very important, especially if you come from an environment that is not familiar with these plants and, the effects of these plants. And what you mentioned as well, that it's not for everybody. I would say that you need to be able to willing to do the work. It's this medicine is called the vine of the dead for good reason. It's a deep shadow work, that sometimes happens what we go through. And if you're not willing to do that, then this medicine is not a magic pill, you know. It's you might have some experiences, but you won't be able to anchor it into your life and embody it, you know, on an everyday basis, what we talked about. And that work we need to be willing to do, and we need to be committed to do that work and to understand that we are the healers, you know, and love is the medicine, really. And so thank you so much. I appreciate so much you coming. And for our audience, check out, we're gonna do the next roundtable, which is gonna be about the integrity of a healer. So I would love to have you there if you can make it and talk about your experience in these circles, you know, because as you said, you know, there is the light and the shadow, right? There's both there present. And also check out my book, Heart Medicine, Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy, and the Integration Process, to learn more about the integration and how you can support yourself and hold space for yourself, or even for others, you know, who are going through this experience around you. So for today, we're going to wrap it up. And thank you, Reuben, and all of your information. We're going to put it in the description. So if you want to connect with Reuben, please feel free to do that, and follow his channel and his page, and subscribe to all the good things that he's doing and putting out there into the world. So thank you so much for your service, and sending lots of love to all of our listeners. Big love.